Hi, good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you everyone for joining us on a Saturday morning. It's around 11:30 now. We are about to start yet another very interesting series of events that we conduct as part of our Napino Knowledge series today. So I'm very excited once again. I think this is our eighth event in the last 1 year. And given that it is pandemic, we have been doing it online as well, like many others. So I'm very excited, I think, to see that we are all joining here today to talk about a very important topic. But before that, I will give a bit of a background of what we try to do as part of this series. So I'm Vinay Solanki here, and I basically lead a business division at Napino Group of companies called as Napino Digital Solutions. This business division is more focused on providing IoT products, services to our customers as an ODM partner and also as a solutions partner. While I will talk more about Napino shortly, as part of Napino Group initiative, we run something called as Napino Knowledge Series. Now, this knowledge series is meant to bring experts and industry stalwarts together on a platform and to talk about something which is very, very relevant in today's time is about technology and especially digital technology or digital transformations, right? Many technology that come together to make it possible span from IoT to artificial intelligence to blockchain, augmented reality, RPA, etc. Uh, while we talk about technology, we also talk about use cases. We talk about industry segment, and I think today is a very very important area, especially for India. And before I talk about that, I want to throw some important numbers out there to all of you uh, in the um, in the session here. If you look at 2018, there was a predicted number by the Indian authority that agriculture employed more than 50% of the Indian workforce and contributed to 17 to 18% of the country's GDP. Right now, that's a big number, right? Almost half of India still getting their daily income or their monthly income, their source of income from agricultural sector, which means for India it is so crucial to look at agriculture as a very important segment and understand what can be done to make it more efficient, to make it more useful for the farmers, to make more income for the supply chain and for the consumer who consume the agricultural produce daily. If you look at 2016, agriculture and the allied sectors like animal husbandry, forestry, and fisheries, they accounted for 15.4% of India's GDP and approximately 50% of the workforce. Um, at the same time, there is a prediction globally that the smart agriculture market, when I say smart, that word smart will get clear over the course of the session today by all our industry speakers and experts. But it is predicted that the smart agriculture market globally was around USD $14 billion in 2020 and is projected to reach around USD $22 billion by 2025, which means it is going to grow at a rate of 10% annually in the next 4 years or so, approximately. So that's the second important point to be noted. First, India definitely relies on agriculture still as a major source of income. Second, application of technology in the agricultural sector is going to be very, very important and crucial. And the last, if all of you follow UN and some of the topics around world food security, food security, which is as defined by UN, means that all people at all the times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their food preferences and dietary needs for an active and healthy life. Now, this is such an important term. I don't think we take it very seriously, food security. I think we take it for granted that whatever we are getting, we will continue to get it for eternity, right? Whether it is the milk, whether it is the staples, or whether it is any other food agricultural produce, right? But that's not really true. There is a good concern globally about how this will continue to sustain in the future, and that's why it is important for all of us to understand that while agricultural sector needs a lot of support from non-tech perspective, right? Whether it is a support from the government or support from the local bodies or other industry players and ecosystem player, a technology like digital technology like IoT or AI, or even digital mechanisms like providing services on a mobile app has become crucial day by day. Not just that, but also if you look at application of technology in the farming equipment sector, right? Can I give tractors on lease to my farmers? But at the same time, can I monitor the usage of the tractor so that it is not being abused, so that it is not being used more than the required number of hours allocated in the lease contract, right? Or you look at any other areas like, can I monitor the moisture of the soil in real time? Can I predict the weather forecast? Or can I give some kind of an indication to the farmer about weather warnings or other environmental parameters that will affect the crop yield, right? So it is becoming very, very important that it becomes integrated into the adoption of technology. Number one, if you look an example of players in India, like the likes of McDonald's, right, or other players like PepsiCo, they invest a lot also in this sector in order to ensure that their supply chain is smooth. PepsiCo produces a lot of chips, potato chips, right? So they invest in potato farming, either as direct landowner or on a lease basis, and they support the farmer to produce good quality crop and also probably pay them well enough what they deserve. But do they just rely on that? No, they also rely on using technology in the sector of the farming area, but also in the supply chain. Can I monitor the temperature while the perishable goods are on the move on the road in a truck or in other form of medium of transport? Is also important. Again, technology comes to help, right? What about mechanisms like cutting the middlemen and directly getting the produce to the consumer, also sometimes called as direct to consumer, or farm to fork, helping the consumer eat healthy produce without any adulteration in it, right? Or understanding what is the source of the produce, right? There are a lot of startups now which are in different segments. So I think, as I just want to summarize, it is such a crucial thing for all of us to remember that food is not unlimited. The food supply, the agriculture produce is not going to be eternity unless we do something about it, unless we ensure there is a proper focus and attention given by all of us. So with that, I want to share a bit about what we do at Napino, and then we will get into the session. Our session today have three panelists, and I will introduce as we go. But before that, I think what we try to do at Napino as a company, we are basically one of the largest and leading electronic design and manufacturing player in India. We primarily support automotive as one of our largest segment of customers in India and outside India globally. We have across India around 7 plants in which we employ more than 5,000 plus workforce. And we produce annually 20 million components or more for our different customers. So we basically are a direct online supplier to most of the two-wheeler automotive companies in India. We also act as a tier two supplier to many four-wheeler companies in and outside India. In addition to manufacturing, we also have a very strong focus on research and development. We employ close to 150 plus R&D engineers across two R&D center, one in Gurgaon, one in Pune, uh, and also an IoT R&D center, which is also in Gurgaon. Um, while we focus on ensuring that we provide the right price, lead time, and quality, we also focus and invest a lot in innovation. So we acquire and we invest in startups. We also do technology transfer from multiple companies across the globe to bring them into India and to support the Make in India and Made in India vision truly, and to the core of our heart. In fact, in IoT itself, which I basically take care of, the business division is called as Napino Digital Solutions. And we look at to produce as much as possible and assemble and manufacture within the country, and support our customers not just in India, but also provide a very good alternative um, to our customers in the US and the Europe market when it comes to looking at a contract manufacturing or ODM services or even application development services. While we do that, we also realize that smart agriculture or agriculture as a sector is a crucial area for not just for us, but many of us on the call and the whole industry to look at. So, with that, I would like to start introducing our speakers today and invite our first speaker on the stage, Mr. Deepak Pareek. Mr. Deepak is the CEO of AgriWatch and a technology pioneer, and also associated with World Economic Forum. Deepak is a well-decorated technocrat honored as the top 10 agropreneur uh, 2019 by Future Agro Challenge, Greece, and Technology Pioneer 2018 by World Economic Forum, Switzerland. He also served as a member of expert panel of World Economic Forum on digital transformation. He's the CEO of AgriWatch, a consulting firm that provides market intelligence, research, and advisory services across the agricultural or agribusiness value chain. AgriWatch is bridging the information and the insight gap that exists in various subsectors of the agricultural economy in general, and agricultural commodities trade in particular through access to lakhs of farmers and thousands of traders. So I would request Mr. Deepak to introduce himself and also to tell us more about what you do at AgriWatch and also any thoughts around agricultural sector in India. Thank you, Mr. Deepak. Over to you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I hope I'm audible. I'm believing I'll be audible. So thanks for the opportunity of speaking today because I strongly believe that agriculture is one of the very important areas when we talk about some of the cutting edge technologies. Whether we talk about Industry 4.0 or we talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of them are very critical in agriculture because that is one sector which unfortunately has been far away from digitization so far. While we are seeing for past close to a decade some development in the sector, but a lot can be done. And this is where actually we as Indigram Group and one of the group company where I'm CEO, AgriWatch, we intend to change that scenario. AgriWatch is having a pedigree of more than 2 decades, where we have been able to provide the market intelligence and insights to those who needs the most. Typically, those who are in the value chain, whether they are aggregators, traders, farmers, as well as different agri businesses. We also are working very closely with the government as well as multilateral agencies to ensure that in their policy making, for example, Reserve Bank of India, they work very closely with us to understand what needs to be done when it comes to taking policy based decisions. As a umbrella organization, Indigram, I also have opportunity of being a director for partnership and alliance for Indigram Lab Foundation, which is one of the oldest agri-tech incubator in India. We have close to 70 odd companies which we have supported extensively with their aggregate turnover last year of close to $200 million. Now, coming to a very pertinent subject of when we talked about agriculture ecosystem in India, as you rightly mentioned that we are talking about close to 50% of people involved in just generating around 16% of our GDP. That means there is a lot of potential of being more efficient. And at the same time, we are also seeing a lot of distress when it comes to the farming communities. But this is not a challenge just typically like in India, but this is across 153 odd developing countries across the world. I would also like to talk about one of our other organization called ISAP, which works with 500,000 farmers on an annual basis, and we have been doing it for past 20 years. And with that coming to me, I love to call myself also a farmer because I do farming in 2 continents in India as well as in Ethiopia. And someone who has been connected on ground, worked across 34 countries on different projects in agriculture. I believe the need of the hour is to ensure that we are able to take the cutting edge technologies we talk about every day in different sectors to agriculture. With that, I would like to end my intervention as far as my introduction is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deepak. That's amazing. I will move to the inviting our second speaker for today, Mr. Mallesh, an industrial and production engineer from BMS College of Engineering, Bangalore, who worked in the IT industry for over 21 years, holding senior positions in companies such as Wipro and Accenture, leading large projects across geographies. Mallesh is also master black belt in Six Sigma, a highly disciplined methodology and uses use case data driven approach for eliminating defects in any process to make it better and profitable. Six Sigma, by the way, is very well known to many of us. I'm also fortunate to be a green belt in Six Sigma. I'm not a black belt, so I cannot fight with you. While he did well for himself in the IT world, his real passion was farming, and that led him to quit his job to devote himself full time to setting up his own organic farm near Mysore. Mallesh is also an agripreneur with close to 20 years of rich experience in both conventional and organic farming. He is one of the pioneers in India to design high density and precision farming techniques. I'm very motivated by you, Mr. Mallesh, coming from IT and moving into agriculture. Truly, truly committed. Thank you. Please, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Vinay. Thanks for giving this opportunity where we can talk and also learn from others. Okay, what are the typical challenges and how we can collectively solve some of the problems. Like you mentioned about your manufacturing, I feel agriculture is one of the best manufacturing sector. Okay, because in agriculture, what goes as an input is less than what we get as an output. If you take any other industry, it could be automobile. If you are inputting 100 kg of material into that, what comes out is 50, 60, 70 kgs. Whereas agriculture is a unique sector by putting only 1 gram, or probably in case of crops like tomato, when you put one seed that is not even weighing zero point 0.1 gram, you get around 20, 30, 40 kgs of output. What actually transforms this tiny seed that is not even weighing 1 gram into, say, 10,000 or 20,000 multiples of its weight is nothing but the nature. Nature is, we have plenty of things available in nature, such as water, such as the weather conditions, agroclimatic, and all those things. In India, we have been fortunate enough to have all these things in plenty for quite some time. But as we are moving along, we are not able to sustain the same level of usage of some of these inputs. One of the bigger problem, as Deepak mentioned earlier, is in a global scenario, India is not lagging behind in terms of abusing some of the resources, whether it is India or whether it is some of the African countries or US or any other part. Farmer is a farmer, and to larger extent, they are overusing the resources because there is no value put on some of these resources for some time. But as we learned from Israel and other parts of the world, water is not going to be there forever, and it's important for us to understand the use of that. So what we do at Cultivate is basically we leverage on latest technology called IoT, where we understand what is the crop water demand. Because today we are all sitting in a conference, and if I'm sitting in a room where it is well conditioned, obviously my water requirement may or may not be as much as I would require when I'm sitting outside. So somebody should understand what are my water requirements compared to different conditions. Same thing happens to the crops. Depending upon the age of the crop, depending upon the soil textural class, and depending upon the agroclimatic condition, someone should understand what are the critical water requirements to make sure we get the maximum yield potential. But unfortunately, in India, water is something that is believed okay is going to be there forever, and people also believe they can provide as much water as possible to get the maximum yield, which is not true. As a result, in case of paddy, which is one of our primary crops, farmers are using close to 2 crore liters to grow 1 hectare of paddy. If you translate to per kg, each one of us, when we buy 1 kg or when we consume 1 kg of rice, we need to keep in mind that farmer would have taken close to 4 to 5,000 liters of water to grow that 1 kg of rice. Same thing goes with sugar. To get 1 kg of sugar, what we pay 50 rupees or 60 rupees in the market, farmer would have consumed roughly around 4 to 5,000 liters. If you are looking at cotton that we use, 1 kg of cotton will consume roughly around 25,000 liters of water. Is it really required? The answer is no. Actually, we can do it with less than 80%, but as a first step, we are making an attempt to bring in a cultural change to farmer where we enable them to grow these things okay with around 40 to 50% less water than what they are doing. So Cultivate's whole focus is how do we enable the farmer to understand what they are doing is not 100% right. They can get more by using less water. That's what we do at Cultivate. I will share more information in a while as we go along.
Thank you so much, Malesh. I think this is really, really important. You have touched a very important point. I think exploiting the natural resources and all resources which are limited, right, and especially water, which I think one of the most crucial topic nowadays globally. People say that World War III will likely happen on water, right? For water, sorry, not on water. So with that, I will invite our next speaker. To introduce himself, Mr. Sumit Sheoran. Sumit is a co-founder of Fyllo, a precision agricultural company based out of Bangalore. Sumit graduated from IIT Roorkee with bachelor's and master's in computer science. And before starting Fyllo, Sumit worked for 3 years in Edgeworth on various fintech products. He likes working and taking on stuff which are related to agricultural sector, using technology, and also in the startup area. I think Sumit is one of the inventor or a technologist who is also focusing on agricultural sector as a crucial area of field for India. Over to you, Sumit. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Vinay. Thanks a lot, team, for inviting me here. Great interacting with all. So we at Philo, we basically work at precision agriculture solutions. So what precision agriculture means primarily is we should be giving the plants whatever they require at the stage that they require. So whatever inputs that we are putting in the farm, they should be precisely based on the crop requirements. So there are two parts. One is assessing the crop requirements, and second in then taking decisions based on the crop requirements. So we work basically on both of them. We first assess the crop requirement, and then we help farmers take decision based on that. So few of the challenges when we were starting Philo, we thought of doing a check on few of the challenges that farmers are facing. So the we also analyzed around 6 to 7 Kisan call query centers to understand more on that, and there was around 20. There were problems around productivity. We are producing around 20% less at 30% more cost when compared to the world standards. Also, around 25% of our crops are being lost to disease and pest, and we have less export quality that is required, and uh, and we are wasting a lot of our natural resources while doing agriculture. So these were the primary challenges that we wanted to solve before while starting Philo. And these are few of the results that we have achieved after working for a year. So this is data for one of the 1 acre of grape farms. So we basically work mostly on the horticulture crops, and in 1 acre of grape, we were able to increase the produce quantity by 25%. So earlier, farmers used to produce 12 tons, and out of that, 6 tons they were able to export. Now with Philo, they have increased their export by 83%, and there has been 25% increase in produce quantity. Also, the cost of production. Earlier, they used to spend around $3,400 on 1 acre of grape land, and now we are able to do it on $2,700 around. So there is 20% less on the on the cost of production part. And while doing so, while helping the farmers achieve this much, we have also saved around 900 million liters of water from all the farms that we are working on. So how it works? We basically deploy an IoT device at the farm. It captures the real-time farm data. It captures the data around the soil, around the crop canopy, above the crop canopy, and it sends this data to our cloud server in the real time. Then we analyze the data using our machine learning and agronomy models, and we help farmer take decision on fertigation, on irrigation, on disease and pest sprays and all. And we then alert the farmers on real time on their mobile app in the language that they understand. So all the alerts to the farmers are available in their language itself. So it's very easy for them to understand, and so that's how we work basically. Then in terms of product, we have two products. One is the hardware product, and other is the software part. So on hardware part, it's easy to deploy on the farm. It's plug and play and has all the certified sensors. The IoT part basically is used to capture data from the farm and send it to the cloud server. The real thing then happens on our server, that is using the machine learning models that we have. So we then support the farmers on irrigation, on disease and pest, on when to take spray, how much, which spray they should take, whether they can skip the spray today, whether they need to give the fertilizer today, what's the weather like, and how it's going to be for next 15 days. And our weather prediction algorithms are around 50% more accurate than any other weather websites that are available. And then we also help farmers on crop specific cultural practices. Apart from this, we have services for corporate farming as well. We help them manage their farms and get the quality output from their farms uh, based on the services that we have. So these are some of the problems and some of the solutions that we have been working for last 2 years. Now we are working on more than 1,000 farms, and we have grown around 10x year on a year in last 2 3 years, and we are now working in 7 states and 9 crops across India. So this has been journey for us, and I'll maybe share more on this as we go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sumit. I think this is amazing. What I saw as the numbers in terms of efficiency that you increased, or the reduction in the usage of water, or even export quality product, is very important. And as you said, you're growing 10x. I think that that kind of shows the importance of adding some value to this sector, right? And the sector will pay you back for whatever efforts you put in the innovation, as I see. And I think you're defying the concept of 10% growth. You're growing 10 times, so that is amazing. And with that, I think it is the time that we start sharing and talking about a bit on what we need to understand and what is required for this sector to really adopt technology well. So I will invite all my speakers on the stage for our panel discussion. Um, and my first question is targeted to Mr. Deepak from AgriWatch. I think you have been connected not just in India but globally in the, and you have been basically exploring this sector for quite a long time. While we look at this sector, right, and we, I think some all of you have covered some applications or some challenges of this sector. What, according to you, are maybe two or three important emerging trends you see in the agtech area, Deepak?
Yes, sure. So first of all, we need to understand few numbers here. The global market for food and agriculture is roughly $8 trillion, right? Now that looks a beautiful number, but at the same time, if you see that our food systems are so inefficient, or the total negative impact of food and agriculture sector based on the health, based on the environment, is close to $5.4 trillion. Which sector you will find which generate $8 trillion of earnings is creating $5.4 trillion of negative impact. And this is what agriculture is today. Another big challenge, as Mallesh was also talking about, like we are talking about 70% global freshwater withdrawals happens in agriculture. 30% of greenhouse gases are because of agriculture. After energy, it is the biggest polluter in the world. Now, things need to change because by 2100, you will be having close to 11 billion people to feed. That means you need more than double the land which we are cultivating today. We don't have that amount of land available with us. Now, that means what, we'll have to make agriculture ecosystem more efficient. Now, there are two areas of technology you'll find which can have an impact. One is definitely bioag. So typically all sort of economical practices, bioproducts, better seeds, all those are a very critical part. A new way of doing farming, whether it is regenerative agriculture, biodiversity and all that. That's one part of the game. Second part of the game is digital agriculture. Now, when we talk about overall egtech market, which includes bio and digi both, we are talking about close to $250 billion. Now, that is a shocker here, as you have shared. Like, typically 2021, the global market for digital agriculture was close to $13.25 billion. Out of $250 billion, digital agriculture is still $13.25 billion. That gives you upscale possible opportunities which digital agriculture would be having. Now, what are those technologies which we see would be impacting going forward? One thing is for sure, we don't want to have the waste which we are creating in agriculture. 30% of food which we grow goes to dustbins. Now, this is where the traceability to ensure that our value chains, the supply chains from farm gate to fork are more efficient. And believe me, that is going to be the biggest sector in agriculture going forward. We can always talk about the production part of it, but I see the biggest trend would be happening when we would be trying to optimize and make the value chains post farm get more efficient. So that is one trend. Traceability, definitely we talk about all sort of digital technologies for big data analytics to machine learning and artificial intelligence and blockchain. In traceability, I see blockchain will be playing a humongous role. And you'll be surprised to know that when we talk about close to $25 billion by 2026 in digital agriculture, close to 25% would be in traceability and around 18% would be coming from just blockchain itself. So that's the first trend. I believe blockchain is going to be a big player when it comes to the technology. The second area is that, as again Mallesh and my friend Sumit is doing, trying to make agriculture more efficient at the grassroots level on the farms itself. So when we talk about precision agriculture, again there are a lot of confusion about what is precision agriculture, smart agriculture, digital agriculture, and most of the people try to put all them in the same box. They are not in the same box. Now focusing on precision agriculture, where you want to identify how much what to be given to the farm, right, to make it more efficient, not just by the acres but also by per drop of water and per dollar of resource use. That is what precision agriculture in nutshell, according to me, is. And there you see technologies, for example, when you talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence, they would be playing a humongous role to identify whether a plant needs water or not. It would be substantially supported by the typically IoT technologies, because end of the day, collection of the data can only come in two ways. One is through IoT and other is through remote sensing. Now, when you are trying to do something on precision agriculture, except I'll say that basic data which is being provided by the remote sensing, typically the NDVIs, and using CNN, you can go to the level of the moisture of the land and all that. But at the same time, you'll have to put more sensors on ground to be more intelligent. And this is where I see that the third trend after machine learning, artificial intelligence, precision agriculture would be IoT. We look forward that at least 30% of all the sensors put across the world by 2030 would be in agriculture sector itself, because the world would start realizing that we need to save water, we need to save the nutrients, and we need to stop abusing our soil and land. The fourth trend which going forward I see is that about the smart packaging part itself. So when you are trying to identify that should I be eating typically kiwi all the way from New Zealand, or should I be having it all the way from let's say very close by, right, say from Meghalaya, we have to take those decisions. And there where the smart packaging is going to play a very important role for us to even first of all identify that how the products are moving in agriculture domain. So more and more products you'll find that will have the tracking devices on the top of that, so that we are able to identify how the volumes are working. Then only we can take policy decision. And last but not the least, finally, I strongly believe that when we talk about the governments, right, the policy making would be using huge data. And coming home to India, you'll find that out of this $13.25 billion of market, the Indian current market is minuscule, $800 million. While we see a lot of reports coming which say that the total opportunity in India itself is $28 billion when it comes to digital or smart agriculture, but that is something which can be realized in future. However, in India, 70% of investment in digital agriculture is happening only by government. Every startup, every company, believe me, if you see their balance sheets, you will find that the substantial amount of revenue is coming from the government project, and this need to change. And until unless we change this and still believe that government should be paying for all digitization, I see challenge in hand. And this is where I believe more and more startup which are supported by the incubator like Indigram Lab Foundation, we are trying to solve this puzzle, that where multiple organizations can collaborate with each other. So typically, we were part of artificial intelligence for agriculture innovation, World Economic Forum's initiative, or the idea by the government of India, where once you are having data, different people can collaborate, and only through collaboration, the South, typically the South of South Hemisphere, all the countries from Africa to Latin America to Asia, they need to work together and ensure that we share data, we share capabilities, we build capabilities, and then only we'll find that in the sunshine coming up in digital agriculture or smart agriculture. I would end my intervention with that.
That is amazing. I think very insightful. The way that you covered the trends. I think you have touched on almost all the points. Like for traceability, blockchain will come to our rescue most likely, and using machine learning and IoT for precision farming or precision agriculture. I think your topic on smart packaging is a very crucial one to identify the source, the traceability, or also the quality, whether it is being really is a kiwi really coming from New Zealand, or it is being produced near Haryana somewhere, uh, or the dragon fruit, which is now becoming more popular. People love that exotic item, right, on the in the farm.
I'll correct you.
Yes,
I'll correct you. In India, we have renamed it to Kamalam. No longer it is
Kamalam.
dragon fruit because we don't like
Okay.
anything which have Chinese context, right? So we started calling it Kamalam in India now.
Okay. Nice, Kamalam. Awesome. I think this is so important. And while we are already started to get questions from the audience, I would go to Mr. Mallesh. And I think when we talk about farming, right, or farm to fork technologies, which is one of the emerging trend globally as well as in India. And you being there, you're running this company where you're looking at multiple areas of creating efficiencies. According to you, what do you think can be done or to make it more widespread and relevant when it comes to areas like farm to fork, Mr. Malesh?
See, one thing that's happening is okay, most of us are trying to promote the technologies, right? That's what we also started doing. So technology is a tool, but it cannot be solution for various challenges. One of the key challenge that we need to address together is how do we empower the farmer and how do we change his behavior? Because today's farmers are looking at technology saying that do I really need it and how do I adapt that? Do I need to use my smartphone or can I use my regular phone? First of all, do I need to use a phone kind of? These are the questions. So we are doing some good projects in Punjab. These are some of the problems that came up by the farmers. Because one fundamental thing we went to, fundamental assumption with which we went to Punjab was farmers are tech savvy and they adopt the technology. And if we show value, that means if you invest 100 rupees in this technology, you can make 200 rupees. We thought they are going to buy. We ignored a very critical aspect of the behavioral changes. Once the behavioral changes is addressed, okay, like what we are trying to do in Punjab, I thought I'm seeing basically the technology penetration can be a lot faster, right? See, in the hands of a technocrat, technology will be well used. You give a small mobile, he will be able to exploit it to its best potential. But farmer is not used to that. His bread and butter is crop. He will understand only the language of agriculture. Tomorrow, if you say you use a seed, he will understand the word a seed, but he may not really understand anything and surrounding that seed. It could be hybrid or it could be bio, genetically modified, all those things. For him, you are giving me a seed, let me take it, let me use that. So when we talk to farmer, rather than talking about water use efficiency or improved water saving and all those things, we talk to him saying that how we can actually enable him to save more in terms of money, right? With sugarcane farmers, we talk to them saying that how with the same amount of water they can get more yield as well as grow in additional area. So when we talk that they can get higher yield and higher quality and grow in additional area, suddenly their eyes will lit up saying that yes, currently in my 10 acres because I've got only one bore well, I'm doing sugarcane cultivation in 5 acres. Now with this technology, can I grow it in 7 acres? So what happened to the first 5 acres? Earlier it was giving me 150 tons, now it becomes 170 tons. In additional 2 acres, if I'm able to get another 40 tons, my total productivity is shooting from 150 to maybe 260. That's how we are trying to convince them, influencing their behavior. So the way I look at it is rather than taking a tool or a technology to farmers, we should take the solution to farmer, which is going to influence their behavior and impact them.
Okay, I think so. So what you are touching on is a very crucial area when we talk about digital transformation technology, right? In regards to any industry today, people always talk about cultural change and behavioral change in that industry or that company. For anyone to adopt IoT or AI or any digital technology, right? I think it is also important to change the mindset of the user or the person who is actually going to leverage that technology on the floor or on the field, as you mentioned. So I think that is what we need to keep in mind as a technology service provider, that you can't just make a technology and assume that they will use it. And you touched a very important point, right? If you give a seed to someone, you need to tell them what kind of seed is this, what is the source, or whether it is hybrid or not. So educating the farmer is, I think, the topic that you're touching on is very important. And especially for companies like yourself or Sumit, and us, I think it's not just going to help by making a technology available, but it's also ensuring that it is put to the right use and in the right fashion. So very important point. Thanks for that, Malesh. And I think with that, I want to ask Mr. Sumit, because you are adopting and you are basically implementing, as you said, on 1,000 farms already, a combination of hardware and software, right, where you are leveraging IoT for sensing purpose, or remote monitoring, and AI for creating some output or analytics and insights, right? Like in I think we all are hearing all this two technology are creating a buzz and offering solutions for farming sector. But while it is a buzz and it is good to hear that buzz, according to you, like, where do you think is the real challenge for them to adopt this technology, and what can make it viable for, especially for the farmers or the end user, to adopt this technology, like IoT and AI? Sumit? Yeah.
Yeah. As Mr. Mallesh also rightly mentioned that there are two, three challenges when we take these technologies to the farmers. One is the cost challenge. I mean, obviously, if you are building a device and if you are providing AI analytics and all to the farmers, the cost will be there. So, how can you convince them to farm how can you convince a farmer to pay that cost? So there are few business models that have worked quite well for that. One is you can give it a subsidized rate by maybe government subsidy, or second one is whether you can do it on installment basis and all. And third, like we for us what have worked is we have showed the results first and then we have expanded. So for example, if I tell you that we started with one farm in one village, and now in the same village we are deployed on 110 farms. So that happened after seeing 1 year of results. After they saw the results, that yes, this I'm putting this much money and I'm getting the double the returns in 1 year itself. And the next years I'm all making only money out of it. So once you show that kind of results, obviously the farmers will start following you, and they will obviously start listening to you. One has been that. Other is when we suggest the same thing to the farmers, what's the language that we should use? So can it be in the very simple and plain and vernacular language that this is what you have to do? All the analysis goes in the back end of that. And finally, a simple alert in there. For example, we are working in Maharashtra. Simple alert in Marathi कि आज मेरे को पानी देना है इतने बजे इतना लीटर पानी मेरे 1 एकड़ प्लांट में जाना चाहिए. So that kind of simplification of the language, simplification of the technology, if you can do, then it's more helpful on that part. And the third is the efficiency and the effectivity of that. So if everybody, like anybody, farmers are also they are growing something and they need yield or they need produce out of that. So if you can show them that their yield is increasing, if you can show them that their cost is getting saved, if you can show them their plots are getting more exported and they are making more money out of the same area in the end of the year after using your technology, then they obviously will start pulling. They are not uh, they are they might be literate, but they are not that dumb that they'll let go such kind of opportunity if you are able to show that kind of results. So so these are the few challenges that come when you start implementing these technology to at the farm level. And there are various business models and various ways that these are being sold, and things are going very interestingly in these times that I see. So I think by uh, by maybe 2, 3, 4 years, we'll see more and more usage of this, and this is going to increase obviously. So that has been my
Awesome.
experience with the farmers.
Awesome. So if I may ask you, and you can choose not to answer it, Sumit, is your company profitable with all the initiative,
Yes,
or
yes,
you're
yes.
you're investing more than okay? Awesome.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's
yes.
a
And we
good
are
news.
making
That
all the money from the farmers only. There is no government. We don't sell to government. We don't to sell
okay.
to anybody else. All our revenue comes directly from the farmers and few
Okay.
corporate farming companies, and we are making a money out of that.
Okay, awesome. I think you touched a very important point. One is like providing something in a local language, and actually, I was always thinking that why do we always call someone literate if they are educated in school? Even someone who has got education while on farming on job should be also literate, right? Literate in farming, and maybe not
Yes,
literate in English. It's an important literacy that will become very useful in the future for all of us. And I think, as you said, you try to show value first, some ROI to them, and after that, they basically are ready to pay because you made a very important point. They are not dumb, right? They understand business. They understand how to make money or where to save money, and if somebody is helping them to save money, they'll be happy to share a part of that back to you, right, as your revenue or as your service fee to us, right? And I that's true. I think, in fact, I was reading some adoption of IoT in the Netherlands in the horticulture area. I think it has played out very well for them. It also started only 7-8 years back, if I'm correct. And I think recently there was some interview by a journalist, and the farmer was saying that, don't look at us as a farmer. Look at us as the source of technology that can come from the earth, basically, right, for all of you. And if I remember, even Mallesh said that farming is also a manufacturing like sector. We should not look at it as a farming. I think that mindset of all of us need to change, that it is not just farming, it is more of a platform, more of an industry which is ready to adopt technology if it makes sense for them. I think before I move to my last question for the panel, there are already questions flowing in from our audience. So I just want to take one question, and it's open to any one of you to answer. How farmers who are not tech savvy or digitally literate, and I think some of you, Malaysia and Sumit, have touched briefly on that. What is being done in that area to ensure that even if they are not tech savvy or digitally literate, can adopt your solutions? Anyone? Sumit, Malaysh, Deepak? Yeah.
Go
Or we
ahead.
can go in
I
round
can.
robin. Yeah.
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 Okay. I see. Actually, first of all, we always believe that, we need to be tech savvy, so-called, quote unquote, to use a technology. I believe that basic premise of this question itself is a little bit shaky. I'll tell you the simple reason. If you give a mobile phone to your son, right, and ask him to use it, after 2 hours, he'll know everything about it. Now you give it to a person like me, I might take maybe 2 week or 3 week to even get to 80% of the features. See, the challenge is that we have to understand the modern mindset itself, right? Is that we are able to create intuitive technologies, right? So, for example, we did my first project, Microp, long back. I launched this product in Indonesia in a place called Delhi Sardang. And believe me, it was Tinder for farmers. Long press, right swipe, all beautiful. Believe me, it would have got a UX award if I would have put it in some award show. Unfortunately, it was not adopted. We went back to the dashboard and we did next, back, worked beautifully, right? And in fact, I was awarded by Asia News channel, and then the UNDPs and all that for that product. So the question is that, do you understand your customer, right? If I tell them that artificial intelligence, machine learning, there's a get lost, right? I go in a suit and then tell them that blockchain is going to change your life. There's a get lost, right? But if I'm able to talk their language, that actually you don't need to do anything, you have to just press this button, this is what you have to do, go next, back, and done, right? Now this is where I believe that you don't need to be a rocket scientist to do that. And this is where, for example, if you see during COVID, farmers started selling their product using WhatsApp. You don't need a training to do the WhatsApp. And this is where I believe, from the app based mindset, you'll have bot based mindset where many of these services would be delivered by simple WhatsApp. That's all, because majority of farmers now have started using WhatsApp. So what I believe is that it is among us, the technocrats, to change our mindset that we want to deliver value and how we should deliver value, rather than trying to see that how a non so-called tech savvy farmer would be able to adopt my service. Give value, make it easy, and believe me, it will rock.
I'll just add on to what Deepak said. Perfectly true, because it is not that farmers who are trying to learn our technology. It is the other way for me. We are trying to learn how farming works. There are so many things, okay, that we don't even know, because our understanding of agriculture, for me, it is only around 10 or 20 years. But for a farmer perspective, he has been doing that. His father, forefather, grandfather, everybody has been doing that. He understands the every different element of agriculture. But it is just that there are some missing dots. That's what we are trying to connect, because the data is overwhelming. So all we are trying to do is collect the data and try to draw or try to connect the missing dots. That's one thing. Second one is in terms of simplifying, which Sumit and Deepak also mentioned, is what we have done is basically, rather than trying to scare the farmer with a new age mobile and all those things, we are trying to tell him, look, whatever you're having can be used, because we are trying to help you to provide irrigation. In the process, we want to include you as part of the solution, because tomorrow if I'm going to be building an application where farmer has to log into something, click on something, and then understand something, obviously it's not going to work. Instead, we have made it as voice enabled. So today, what happens if the farmer is not following our instructions? A call goes to the farmer asking him, why did you or why did you not do that? And we know farmer can't speak. Of course, farmer can speak, and we may not be able to understand his accent in different parts of the country, and they may not be able to write fluently when they're in the farm. Especially if you are using a feature phone, there is no option to write. So we have provided a button option where farmer can give pre-decided answers by pressing 1, 2, 3. Because the fundamental belief is, if a farmer is having a mobile phone, he knows how to read the numbers and he knows how to dial it. So we are using that basic presumption, okay, to get feedback, get 360-degree feedback going back and forth with the farmer, telling him what to do and understanding is what he has done, why he has done, or why did he do that. So this has worked out very well, and that has given phenomenal amount of insight into the farmer behavioral factors that are influencing the farmer behavior.
Great.
Yeah, I think it's rightly said by both two. I'll just add a line to it. The principle is basically you don't pull the customers where you are, you go to the place where your customers are. If you're able to do
Yeah.
that, I think it works.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah. कुएं के पास जाना पड़ेगा पानी पीने के लिए
Yes, yes, yes.
ना. No, but I think amazing. I hope Pooja, your question is answered. I think this was from one of our participants, but very beautifully said by all three of you that we have to look at technology not as a mean of scaring them off, but as a mean where it becomes so dumb proof that it should be as easy as using a WhatsApp, right? And honestly, like recently I bought a term plan for myself, and my entire onboarding process was done on WhatsApp with Tata AIA, and it was like press one for yes, two for no. Even for me, I think it was like such a lovely experience that I don't have to call and then or maybe do something like that. And as easy as that, it can be done for a farmer. It will be such a beautiful experience for them to not disrupt their way of working, but more add to it. As Mallesh, you said that, right? You can actually give them some buttons and make it very easy. Another question before I go to my question, last question is smart farming with AR and VR technologies possible for countries like India? Would it be mainstream in near future? Does anyone have a view on application of AR VR in farming? Please, yeah, go ahead, Deep.
Yeah, sure, sure. So, like, in fact, AR and VR is already being used in Africa, right, for training farmers. I strongly believe that there is a huge opportunity. Unfortunately, not much has been done, especially this part of the world, especially when we talk about Southeast Asia. But AR and VR are very strong technologies because end of the day, the learning being given to the farmer is very important. And I'm learning, I'm not just talking about how to use an application. Learning, for example, when we are talking about the climate related issues which we are facing today, the farmer will need to change his agronomical practices, right? As Mallesh was talking about 28,000 liter for cotton, do you think that is actually something which we as a world should be doing it's crime against the humanity? Or 5,000 liters of for like, your typical rice, 5,000 or 8,000, depending on which variety. No, we need to like, stop this flood irrigation, but farmer doesn't know how to change, right? So when we talk about these specific areas where they have to change the way they are doing the farming, I think AR and VR are very critical tools for because they enable you, like, the multi-sensory way of teaching a farmer. And going forward, you'll find that this definitely this solution is going to become mainstream, right? How soon that is going to happen, it will definitely depend on like which part of the world you're talking about. As you rightly mentioned, Netherlands, it's already happening because in 2010, the government of Netherlands decided that they want to be actually climate resilient as well as climate conscious in agriculture. And that's why you see that, like, when they are started doing all the things about climate simulation and trying to reduce the use of water and resources in agriculture. And Netherlands has always been like, leaps ahead of most of the world, right? And in Managing University, in fact, AI, this augmented reality and virtual reality is being already being used to create programs for farmers in Africa. So this is already happening. Only thing is that adoption is taking a little bit of time because of the price challenges, especially in this part of the world. And I see that going forward, as we see that the cost of like delivering this technology going down, you'll find more and more people doing that. Even for example, India is having close to 3 lakh extension workers, whether they are private plus government, right? Even training to them would be half a cost. And previously, before COVID, there was some resistance because people were not very keen to do online learning, right? Now, post COVID, like, we are doing this. Otherwise, we would have loved to be in a like, conference and then face to face sitting next to each other and talking about all these things. Now we are comfortable doing it this virtually also. And this is what I believe is going to change when we are talking about training the trainers, right? Our extension workers are having knowledge which is 25 years old, right? And all the technologies we are talking about for digital literacy for the farmers as well as trainers, the augmented reality and virtual reality is going to play a very substantial role.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else want to add?
Well, definitely, it's a very much important thing, okay, because one aspect of that is training, how to do things. Second one is, can we train our force? Because earlier Deepak mentioned the amount of food that is getting wasted. When we talk about wastage, there could be various reasons. One of that is premature harvesting. So these technologies can very effectively be used, okay, to understand whether a crop or whether a vegetable or a fruit, okay, has reached the right level of harvesting. Because one thing that I learned during early part of my agriculture journey is there are smart farmers who knows at what stage they need to harvest the fruits. For example, papaya. If I'm trying to grow papaya in Bangalore, most often when we pick it up from the store and bring it home and keep it for 2 days, it will start becoming soggy. But I used to wonder how does a farmer send it from Bangalore to either to Chennai, which will take 1 or 2 days in that hot condition, or to Mumbai, which will take 2 or 3 days, or to Delhi, which will take 5 or 6 days. That's when they explain basically if you're looking at a fruit, the moment the green fruit starts having one yellow line, that's the indication it has approximately another week to 10 days before it starts maturing. 2 to 3 lines is another 4 to 5 days time. 4 to 5 lines or 6 lines, okay, is almost ready 1 or 2 days time. So this is something okay that is there in the wisdom of the people. Now, if they can put into the virtual realities kind of thing, where a person who is going to be harvesting, if he has been told when you hit this fruit, this is for this particular market or particular reason, it can actually improve the efficiency and reduce the wastage. I look at from a different perspective.
Awesome. Okay. So I think what we are looking at or what we are seeing is that augmented reality or virtual reality, which are also getting actively used in other industries, especially from a training and education perspective. Like even we have seen in electronic manufacturing industry, there are applications of VR based training for the operators on our assembly line, so that they know when you solder a RF antenna onto a PCB, how it is useful. And likewise it should be useful and should be applicable for farming sector as well, especially if they need to be trained on something new which they have not done, or their lineage is not basically being comfortable with that. With that, I want to ask a question to all of you. I think while it is important that we all of us as a solution provider or technology service provider help the farmer, what are the two areas, or maybe two or top two areas that you think are required from a government perspective when it comes to policies and regulation for ag tech industry?
Okay, I'll go first this time. I think one of the thing our Indian farmers are being spoiled is the subsidy, because when anything gets started, invariably they have been told, okay, there is a subsidy to this component and you can leverage on that. So when we started approaching many farmers, their first question used to be, is there a subsidy in this and how much is the subsidy? Because their viewpoint is if government is giving 50, 60, 70%, can you give 30 or 40% was their question. So we are trying to work with the farmer saying that when you are looking at subsidy, the product that could come to you or the service that come to you could be substandard, not necessarily always meeting your requirements. There are so many instances that we see when we are working with farmers. Just because there is subsidy, either the dealer is going to convince the farmer to buy that, or the farmer will buy it because he doesn't have to spend too much of money. Then they don't see a value. So our entire proposition to government is basically they need to promote technology by showing value to farmers, not necessarily by showing subsidy or giving subsidy.
Okay, gotcha. Anything that, Sumit, you want to add here from a regulatory perspective, especially because you're working with so many farmers
Yes, yes, yes.
on IoT?
So, as Mallesh sir said that yeah, it's right. I mean, when you pay less for a product, you'll obviously value that less. So that's the normal consumer mindset. But I think still, I mean, in some of the cases where you are not able to, I mean, penetrate to the farmers in the areas that you'd like to, maybe not the subsidy over I mean over a longer period of time, but maybe in some sorts of incentives to them, or maybe some sorts of promoting technologies kind of thing. Events should be done by the government. One start with that will be that right now all the people, most of the people in the horticulture departments or in the agriculture departments in the government part, they don't know about the technologies. So first is that they can, maybe they should be trained on these things, and they can start conveying these to the farmers. Then the later comes the subsidy part.
Very well
Yes,
said.
so
I think it is important to ensure that इंडिया में स्पेशली जो भी फ्री होता है उसकी वैल्यू नहीं करते हम एंड वी बेसिकली थ्रो दैट अवे राइट सो वेरी
Yes.
इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट यस ओवर टू दीपक या यू हैड अ पॉइंट
Yeah, I'm having very different view on that. Very different view on
अच्छा
that.
ओके
Alarmingly different view on that. Right. First of all, when we are giving 50% R&D subsidy to the industry, right, we don't say that they are might be buying substandard equipment for doing the R&D, right? But when we talk about farmer, somebody who's making 27 rupees a day, we say that don't give him subsidy, right? Now the $1 million question is that a farmer is subsidizing us. If you don't want to control food inflation and you allow farmer to charge what he's supposed to charge you, right? Okra cost you 28 dirhams in Dubai. You get it for 8 rupees in India. If you start charging that amount in India, actually what is going to happen is that your food inflation is going to go up. So government want to control that. So the $1 million question is that as soon as you have the price rise in the rapeseed, suddenly government says that actually like no, let's cap it off. So when we say subsidy to farmers should stop it, I believe that is farthest from the reality. The advanced economies like US, Germany, they're subsidizing their corn and wheat so that they can sell it in Africa and Asia, right? And we start believing that in India we should stop subsidies. I don't believe that stopping subsidies is a solution here. What government needs to do is it definitely, I believe that what Mallesh said is right. Only when you are, the challenge is that when you are saying that micro irrigation I give you subsidy, but for smart irrigation I don't give you subsidy, then the problems start happening, because then he said that okay fine, I'll just buy micro irrigation, I won't be buying the smart irrigation because the subsidies they're not on the sensor. The government need to take a proactive step on where we identify the value being given, or we as an industry we are not able to tell the government that there is a value in smart irrigation, right, or smart fertigation or smart agriculture. If we are able to do that, then definitely government would be open to give subsidy. They are already giving 1,000 crore for micro irrigation, right? They can give
yeah
another 200 crore for smart irrigation as well. The question is that are we lethargic that we are not able to reach out to government to get those things in part of the subsidy? Subsidies, if you stop it, believe me, like you and me will be having toughest time to feed our own kids. Even we are middle class and upper middle class. That's the ground reality. So I believe that strongly subsidy needs to be there. In fact, we need to give more subsidies. That's my view. But the subsidies need to go in the right direction, and industry need to come together and ensure that government is sanitized enough to do that part of it where they give subsidies on the right thing. Just like they are doing for industry, right? They promote R&D. They promote, for example, a performance link incentive for drones, right?
yeah
Now, why I want to give like my taxpayers money to a drone company who is a startup? They might succeed, fail. I don't care a damn. But the challenge here is that we are okay to do that because we support it, because industry will improve. Same way, subsidies to farmer are the ground reality. We cannot do away with it. Now, coming to second part, which you said, like sorry for being like a little bit. I'm having very strong views on subsidies because I keep on getting into a lot of discussion, and I
no
am
that
strong
that's a
believer.
nice way to on a panel right because we want to hear good supporting
Counter argument.
arguments and disargument arguments yeah
So I'm with Mallesh that smart irrigation should be subsidized for sure, but I'm not in the view that actually subsidy should not be there. Now coming to second part of the regulatory, just let me complete, and then you can take it over. Yeah.
Sure.
So the second part of it, what regulation needs to be done or where the government should be supporting. So first thing is that fortunately we had someone who came with the farm laws. Right now you are seeing what's happening to that, and this is the challenge for Indian agriculture. Not just now, like it has been for more than 4 decades. Like after mid of 1960s, when the Green Revolution was assured on India, we have seen that the agriculture has become always something which is politically very sensitive. Nobody wants to do anything, but everybody wants to talk about doing everything. And this is where I believe, like the government did few things right. Right, we need more of centralization of agriculture, especially when about like data collection. So government came out with this very beautiful scheme, right, idea where they're saying that XTech. So we'll collect a lot of data and make that data available to most of the people, right? All the startups, the FPOs, like NGOs who can use that data and deliver service to the farmer. Now that's a very welcome step. Digitization of one farmer is $16 in India, right? That is the amount of money the government is spending. However, once you have this data, right, now you have to go with all the states, right? Because the agriculture is a state subject. Some state will do it better than others. For example, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, they are doing very well. Maharashtra, Gujarat, little bit, and rest of the country, we see that like there is no push for the digitization. And this is where I believe like the policy need to change on where we need to have an agriculture commission, which start doing just like your Niti Aayog. We should have like an agriculture Aayog, which focus on taking India forward in agriculture. And we need to have 25-year plan how we can be more climate resilient, because believe me, the biggest elephant in the room is climate change. it is going to hit you badly. It is hitting every year, increasing everywhere. This year also, see how the rain patterns were. Nobody predicted it right. The reason was that the climate change is here already. And until and unless we have a agriculture commission who takes a long-term, medium-term, and short-term view of agriculture sector, and then start identifying where to subsidize, what to subsidize, how much to subsidize, then only we'll have this solution. So my recommendation would be the agriculture commission immediately.
Okay, I think that's a wonderful point. But I remember Mallesh want to add something on the subsidy. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
the way I'm looking at subsidy is okay because we don't have centralized systems. If, as a farmer, if I'm trying to get something and if I'm producing something that is below the performance level, imagine, okay, in Netherlands, the right example that you took are Israel. A farmer who is doing cultivation in 1 acre is able to grow roughly around 60 or 70 tons of tomato. In Karnataka, if he is growing only 15 tons, invariably somebody has to subsidize so it doesn't get into a loss. So the way I'm looking at is using these technologies, we should work towards the improving the efficiency of the systems, whether you make it incentive based or centralized, whichever way it is. Tomorrow, if a farmer is able to substantially justify why every paisa is being spent on every aspect of agriculture and whether it is well spent or not, I believe subsidy may not even be required. Because if you take out of agriculture, if you take farmer son, okay, who is studying in a school, he is not getting the same level of subsidy as getting in that, right? But there are incentives for the farmers to do well, like way of it could be in terms of giving a scholarship or many of those. I believe here we need to encourage the farmers to be more efficient rather than rewarding them to be continue to at the same level and give them more money or kind of subsidy. I feel subsidy is not actually helping farmers to understand why there is a need for them to improve the efficiency. The moment you move them out of the subsidy world, okay, but tell them if you perform at this level, based on that we can incentivize you so that your performance can be improved. Probably our agriculture industry will move to the next stage.
Awesome. I think so that's a very nice debate on subsidy, and maybe now this gives me a hint that we need to do one future panel on subsidy for farming sector, because I understand it's an important and a sensitive topic, because it is crucial, because there has to be a balance, as both of you said, and both sides. I think you're basically trying to prove that it is required, but in a better way, need to be implemented. I think with that, because we are almost time for the event today, there are some more questions coming up, which, as I went through, are already covered by all of you. So I just wanted to first ask anyone wants to make any closing remark for our event today. Please feel free to do so, and then I will invite Sakshi to give the thank you note to all our speakers for the day. Any closing
Yes,
comments from anyone? Yeah.
sure. So I'll just add two things. One thing is that as a consumers, we also need to learn a lot, right? Please ensure that the food you are eating is more sustainable. You ensure that actually you give incentive to a farmer by buying a product which is being grown in a better way. And there are a lot of products on the shelf which gives you like your traceability, which ensures, right, that which will encourage farmer to use digitization, because then you will be able to see to it that the farmer knows that if I do all these good activities, I'll be paid a little bit more than my next door farmer who is not doing those activities. That's one. So please be more sustainable in consumption, because the world needs to be safe. Second thing is that whenever you eat something, believe me, thank a farmer. Believe me, without him, uh, Mallesh is having a beautiful drink. I also had my coffee while on this call, and believe me, this is all because of one person who love his soil and who is ready to do something for you and me. That's growing food for us. So with that, I would conclude my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from your end, Mallesh? Any closing remarks?
Yeah, definitely, because we are talking about the startup ecosystem, we are talking about the entrepreneurship. But if you look from the true spirit, farmer has been an entrepreneur from the day he has been born.
Yes.
He is taking so much of risk. He fights with so many odds. Okay, and it is we who need to learn from the farmer and build a ecosystem which is inclusive of the farmer taking his challenges into consideration and provide a solution where he actually enjoys taking. I think we should move towards that.
Awesome. I think well said, both of you. I think Sumit might have lost his connectivity, and that's one of the downside of technology, right? And technology fails when you need it the most. Oh, he's back. Okay, I
Mine is
can see
still
you.
there.
And when
Okay,
you say it
okay. Sumit,
stays, it will come back.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Sumit, anything, any comments from you? Closing remarks?
yeah, I think it was a good discussion, and like all said, all this is because farmers are there, and we are working because they are there. So we should always keep them in center and keep working towards it.
Awesome. I think
That's
this is very important takeaway from today's session that one farmer is not illiterate. They are literate in agriculture. They need to be ensured that they understand how to adopt technology for their own benefit. Second is that ensure that the technology is not delivered as a technology. It is delivered in a very easy to adopt way and through the channels that they are already on. It could be WhatsApp, it could be Telegram, it could be something else. um, uh, Third is that ensuring that technology becoming viable for agriculture in India especially is it will need a support both from industry and government in to come together and do it the right way, because India is one of the largest agricultural economy actually in the world still. And fourth, I think from a subsidy perspective or any government support perspective, it has to be done in a very thoughtful way by the government, and this not just central but state as well, and maybe done in a seamless way if possible. And there should be something called as agricultural ayog, right, like Niti Ayog, as said by Mr. Deepak. So with that, I will invite Sakshi to give a big thank you note to all our speakers, and thank you to all the audience as well from my side. Over to you, Sakshi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. What I learned today, smart agriculture is much more than a digital transformation in the farming life. Adapting to the behavioral and cultural requirements, optimizing our resources, which frankly won't last forever, and a lot dependent upon the government support. And what a beautiful thought to see farming as a production industry. Thank you, our panel of experts, Mr. Deepak from AgriWatch, Mr. Mallesh from Cultivate, and Mr. Sumit from Fyllo for watering and nurturing the inspiration bombs today. Thank you, Mr. Vinay from Napino, for moderating the session so well. I'm sure we were all glued to our screens to learn much more what is coming ahead. Thank you everyone for signing in on Saturday morning. Hope you all have a great festive season ahead and looking forward to see you on our upcoming sessions in the NK series. With that note, I want to introduce the three sessions that we are upcoming in the winter season. It's on the screen. We have a boot camp on role of embedded in IoT. Then we have a panel discussion seeing India as a global manufacturing hub. And the last, we have a panel discussion on computer vision and its application. So if you want to join any of these sessions, please subscribe and scan this QR code to register. We have also mentioned the URL on the screen. You can take a screenshot.
I think it's not visible. Your PPT is not
Oh,
visible, Sakshi. I'm not so sure. Arindam, can you please check?
is it now?
It is now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can take a screenshot and save it for your future purpose. But also, we will be sending you an email with all the links ahead and a video recording of this session, just in case if you want to go ahead, go rewind back and freshen up something.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Deepak, Mr. Sumit, and Mr. Malish. It was great connecting with all of you. I look forward to connect with all of you individually as well. And thank you to all our audience and our backend team, Sakshi, Sumit, Arindam from Tech2Go, and to Napino Group for supporting this event. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, audience. Take care.